Carrick Segmuller, Drayson Ball, and joined by Dixie State junior right side hitter Msu Treanor. Megan, thanks so much for joining us today on the show.
Of course. Thank you guys so
First
much.
of all, congrats are in order. I know you're getting used to these kind of awards, but RMAC Offensive Player of the Week. We also, if you heard us back there, we just named you our Campus Store Player of the Week as well. We name a Campus Store Player of the Week on our show every week, and we just named you our Player of the Week as well. So congratulations for that. I'm sure that one doesn't mean it near as much as the Conference Player of the Week, but we just wanted to let you know that we definitely were impressed with the weekend that you had, and we'll get into that. But thanks for joining us today, and it's been fun to watch this team this year progress and start well and then hit a little bit of a rough patch with some injuries. But now it seems like the team is back on track. You've won your last 4 matches. What's other than having more players back and being at full strength, what's kind of been that difference over these last 4 matches versus that little rough patch that the team had hit a few weeks ago?
Yeah, for sure. The injuries definitely set us back for a little bit, just mentally even. But I think the main thing that I've noticed is chemistry. Just we've learned to play with each other, and we've just are clicking super well with each other.
Let's talk about this past weekend. Obviously, you win big Friday night. You bring Colorado School of Mines in, and everyone. I mean, that's the match that was circled on the calendar that weekend. You can't look ahead. You can't look past anybody. So you take care of business Friday night. 5-set thriller against Colorado School of Mines. You had to come back in set 2 or set 3 that you had to come back into even to keep that going. You just take us through what's going through your mind during a match like that, and then that final point hits. Did you have the final point? You had the final point in that match, didn't you?
No, I actually
that was set 3.
I think that was Toa.
You're right. That was set 3. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but take us through what's going through your mind when that last point hits, and you've beat a tough Colorado School of Mines team after just a crazy match.
Yeah, the match was wild. It was very tiring. The rallies were so long, so crazy. We just went in with the mentality of this is a big game. This is our rivalry. We have to play as hard as we possibly can. And I think we did that. We were scrappy. It was crazy. But when we won, it was a relief because they're a big rivalry. It was an awesome game.
Chatting with junior right side hitter Msu Denver here live on Trailblazer Weekly. In a game like that, I mean, one thing that I mentioned a few moments ago was Colorado School of Mines was a team that didn't make a lot of mistakes. I mean, it seemed like every time the ball was going back over that to you guys. They weren't, missing and miscommunication. The ball was dropping in the middle. They weren't letting it go out of bounds. They were getting the ball over the net almost every time. How is it to kind of just keep your focus throughout 5 sets, knowing you got a team that's not going to they're not going to beat themselves. They're not going to make a lot of mistakes. How do you have to remain focused against a team like that?
Yeah, they often don't make mistakes, so it was super difficult. That's why the rallies were just crazy long, is because we needed to have the same mentality they did, as we need to execute every ball. We need to keep the ball in play. We need to be scrappy. So it was just playing our level and keeping them under us. Blocking was huge for us because we knew that was going to be a big factor.
What's been kind of the mindset for you guys? Obviously coming into this Colorado School of Mines game, that was kind of one that you had circled on your calendars, so to speak. And then now you go all right back on the road again to Msu Denver, who is on top of the conference right now. Does the mindset change knowing who your opponent is, whether it be Colorado School of Mines or Msu Denver, knowing, hey, these are the important matches that we have to win? Is there any added pressure when you play those teams, or is it kind of just business as usual, game in and game out?
Well, yeah, there's definitely added pressure just knowing that MSU's top of the RMAC, so we need to show up and play Dixie volleyball, because sometimes it's hard to not play down to the level of your opponent. So our focus is being all in, being relentless, and playing Dixie volleyball.
Megan, of course, volleyball team sport, but you earned an individual accolade this week, like we talked about a few minutes ago. A big part of that has been your ability to do just about everything out there on the floor. I mean, we were reading through some of your numbers, and it's digs, it's kills, it's assists. I mean, it's triple doubles. I mean, you're literally out there doing everything. This may seem like a silly question, but have you been good at every part of the game your entire career, or is that something you picked up here at Dixie, or at what point was it like, okay, I'm going out and I'm getting a triple double tonight, I'm gonna do everything? At what point did that kind of click in your career?
Well, in high school I was a hitter, but my mom was my coach, so she made me start setting because she lost her setters. So I was kind of forced into it, but I did both at Slick when I went there my first year. But coming here, it's definitely just, I've gotten so much better than where I was at like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I've gotten a lot better, so it's just so fun to be able to do everything that I love to do.
Follow-up question: have you thanked your mom for forcing you to learn how to set?
Definitely. I thank her all the time for it.
Good. And we were chatting with Megan Treanor, Dixie State volleyball junior right side hitter. The Trailblazers are getting set to head out on a big road trip this weekend, long road trip, going to MSU Denver and then going to Chadron State. MSU Denver, the only team that, this is only year 2 in the RMAC, but I'm sure there's a little extra motivation knowing that, hey, this is the only team that we haven't beat yet. Has that been talked about at all? Has that come up and say, hey, we got to beat this team. We got to win.
For sure. Yeah, and they beat us last year at our D game at home. And so it's even more fire in us and even more just like wanting to play them already and just thriving to play.
Megan, it's been a fun season already so far. You guys are winners of 4 straight and 11 out of your last 13. It's something we've become accustomed to with this volleyball team, year in and year out. Always good and always a tough team to beat. Let's go back. Obviously, you had a lot of success last season as well. Just talk a little bit. You were part of that 2018 team and this 2019 team. Just talk a little bit about what are some differences, what are some similarities that you've noticed between those 2 seasons.
We definitely lost a lot of seniors. That's something that took a while to get used to. I think that was like why our first tournament here was kind of rocky for us because we lost, I think, 5 seniors, and so we were playing freshmen that we'd never played with before, never like gotten that chemistry with them. So we've definitely gotten better at that, gotten used to each other, gotten like setting and hitting is a lot better than at the beginning of the season.
And what's it like, being a player under Robin Felder's program? I mean, obviously, we see it year in and year out how she brings in these tough teams early in the season, and they maybe struggle a little bit, but then she always brings it together when it matters. And you guys are playing a lot of freshmen. You have some younger talent that are kind of just learning the ways. How is it that Robin Felder continues to do this? What's it like playing under Robin? How does she continue to do this year in and year out, no matter who she's putting out on the field?
It's awesome playing for her. She's definitely one of my favorite coaches I've had. She just teaches us to be selfless because she is very selfless herself, and she works so hard at being a coach, and that kind of translates us, like her working hard, we need to work hard for her, and she just shows us like grit and just teaches us to be good people and good players, and I think that's why we have been so successful is because she's a great coach, very positive, but also pushes us to work as hard as we can.
You are listening and or watching, depending on how you're consuming our show today. This is Trailblazer Weekly. We are live on CEC TV. That's TDS Cable Channel 108, Radio Dixie 91.3 FM, and the Dixie State Athletics YouTube page. And we are chatting with Megan Treanor. Megan, we're gonna veer off that course just a little bit, and we're gonna circle back to this year. Normally, we like to end the interview with these types of questions. We thought let's try a little something new today, and we don't want you to look too far ahead here because we've got some big volleyball, and it's only your junior year, and you got your senior year next year as well. But what are your career goals? This is something that we've been wanting to ask as we knew this interview was coming. Drayson and I were talking. What opportunities are there for volleyball post college? Do you want to get into coaching? What's next for Megan Treanor after she finishes playing volleyball? I know you're only junior, so you're not even thinking about this yet, probably. But do you want to coach? Do you want to try to keep playing somewhere? What are those career goals?
I definitely think I want to try to play somewhere after. Me and my sister have talked about, because volleyball is in my family, like it's in the blood. So we talked about playing some sand volleyball in California after, just to keep our bodies going, keep it going, because can't imagine life without volleyball. So hoping to do that, hoping to continue playing, maybe coach after that. So hoping for it.
We talked about the big showdown at MSU Denver a little bit earlier, and you got MSU Denver and then Chadron State, and then be able to come back and play at home a little bit. That this team, what's the mindset going into this big trip, knowing that it's not just a massively important trip, but it's going to be a long trip. You got to be able to stretch those legs on the. Are we flying to Denver and then driving up to Chadron afterward? Has that been talked about? How long and and how tiring this trip's going to be?
Yeah, we fly to Denver, and then I think we bus to Chowderend after the game. So hopefully we can sleep a little bit. But no, Coach always calls us road warriors to see who can pull out, even though we're tired and sore from the bus, just push through it.
Got to be a little bit extra motivation. Obviously, Carrick mentioned it a few minutes ago. Msu Denver, a team you've yet to beat in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference in your short period there in the RMAC. Let's talk a little bit about, obviously you've been playing volleyball. You said it's in your blood. Volleyball, you've played at Salt Lake Community College, and then of course here at Dixie State. Is there a favorite moment or favorite memory that you have, maybe even going back to high school playing volleyball? Of course, I've got to be fun playing volleyball in high school as your mom was the coach. Is there a favorite memory that you have in your volleyball career?
I think when I was a junior, I was playing club volleyball, and my team went to nationals, and we ended up winning nationals, first in the nation. So that was crazy, and that's where I got my first All-American award, was there. And then getting my second one here is it's crazy. It's just wild to even think about.
It's always fun to get recognized. Obviously, Carrick mentioned it's a team sport, but you got a special place on a big trophy shelf at home for all these accolades that you've been receiving. Talk a little bit about just kind of what makes volleyball so unique in the sense that it's kind of a team sport. You have to obviously work together as a team, but there are moments where you go for a kill. It's all about you, and it's not about anyone else. How has it been kind of balancing the differences between playing with your team, and then obviously you're the one bringing in these awards? How has that kind of been for you this season?
I think it's just important to remember that if you do your job, your team will succeed as long as they're also doing their job. So that's a big thing, is just each player has to do their job. And I think that's what's leading to our successes lately, is everybody's been doing their jobs. Our liberos are getting crazy digs. Jordan Nelson, our other setters, getting 36 assists for the Mines game, and outsides are getting 17 kills. Like, we're all just doing our job, and we're all making each other look good.
Chatting with Dixie State junior right side hitter Msu Treanor of the volleyball team, and just a couple of minutes left here on the interview. Msu, take us through the day in the life of a Dixie State volleyball player. Practice, maybe for those that don't know this, practice begins bright and early, long before you and I are even thinking about being awake, Drayson. What was it, 4 a.m., 5 a.m.?
I heard a couple years ago it was like 4 or 5 a.m.
Okay, so maybe it's gotten a little bit better.
Yeah, it's gotten better. Last year, we had to be there by 5:30, so wake up at like 4:50. Okay. But this year we have to be there by 6, so that's still waking up at like 5:30.
Still before I'm awake. But what's that like? I mean, you're already a college student. You're already having to learn how to balance your time between social life and schoolwork and your sport, but then you throw in an early morning practice as well. What's that been like, trying to adjust to that schedule and trying to become that budgeter of time and balancing everything that you have to balance as a student athlete?
Yeah, I definitely am one to sleep in. So coming here was a big wake-up call, literally. But yeah, I've heard from a lot of people it's healthy to wake up this early. I'm just waiting for it. But no, it's honestly nice to get like practice and weights over with, and then straight from that to class. So having like the day later in the day open it's nice. I think it's worth it.
Don't worry, I struggle with the snooze button myself. So whoever invented the snooze button, I hope he or she didn't get like an award or something for that, because that was the worst invention of all time. Like, alarm clocks should just not be able to be silenced. They should just keep going until you're out of bed. Then they turn off, because I'm not a morning person either. But I've always admired student athletes, and when I was in school, you balance schoolwork and social life, but then you just throw in practice and your sport and early morning practice and weights and treatment and just everything that you go through as a student athlete, especially at the Division II level. I think a lot of people think that being a student athlete's all glamour all the time, and it's not. No. It's a lot of hard work and blood and sweat and tears, and we just really admire you and everything your teammates and all the student athletes here at Dixie State do. So pretty incredible.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you stopping by the show and joining us today, and we wish you the best of luck. in Denver this weekend and in Chadron. I'll be in Gunnison traveling for football. It just was a little too far away to make that drive Friday night. I mean, I'm still thinking about it. Maybe we will come down and watch that game in Denver on Friday night. But the Trailblazers take on Msu Denver as they try to knock off the top team in the RMAC and try to get that elusive win over the Roadrunners, and then they'll make the fun drive up to Chadron, Nebraska, knock on wood for good weather, and it snowed there a couple of weeks ago, so hopefully we're not running any weather like that this weekend. But stay tuned to DixieStateAthletics.com for all the updates, as well as all the Trailblazer social media accounts. We'll have the updates and the stats and the recaps for you to read. So